Hi everyone, I'm Sandra Ingerman and welcome to the Shamans Cave.
And I'm Renee Baribeau, and welcome again. We're glad you're here. And today we have another great show about Sandra.
So what happened is Renee and I did a really nice show on destiny retrievals, and that was a topic that one of our listeners had written in, was to talk about destiny retrievals. And then I talked about a similar practice to something I teach in my soul retrieval trainings of soul remembering. And so with destiny retrievals and with soul remembering, basically we're looking at similar things. What is it? What was the passion? What was it? You came into this lifetime so excited to manifest. You were this little being looking down on this great earth, and oh my God, this planet, it's filled with beauty and wonder and all this opportunity. I'm going to, in this lifetime, do this. And then we're born and we come into the world and we have all these authority figures, our parents, our family, our teachers, doctors, other authority figures telling us what we're good at and what we're not good at. And all of a sudden, we don't remember what our original desire was about wanting to be here.
Oh, yeah. When you started to talk, I started to remember we moved around a lot when I was a child. And so the first school I went to was so progressive, the art, the music. And by the third school I'd gone to, an elementary school, I had brought my little tonette, the little black thing, the plastic thing. Did you have one of those? And the teacher told me that there wasn't room for me in the music class. And so I just assumed that I wasn't very musical. Now, I'm not very musical.
Renee?
Or I believe that I'm not very musical. So the thing is like when I used to sing at Girl Scout camp with the strumming and the guitar, which I painstakingly taught myself, everyone would get off beat because I was not really good in the rhythm and anything like that. But so I don't know if the teacher saved me from a lifetime of embarrassment or if I was going to be the next Beethoven, but I didn't know it and they cut me short. Maybe we'll have to look at that later.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, these are the things that happen. I remember I loved to sing, and I tried to get into chorus, and they wouldn't let me in. And my mother was in the PTA, and she did everything to try and get me in to chorus, but they wouldn't take me in. I didn't have what they called a good voice. And then when I started teaching shamanic workshops, I started teaching songs. And when I first started, it was like the windows were going to crack. But then I just kept singing. I didn't care. I loved to sing. And I just kept singing. And year after year after year, it was amazing to watch. With practice, you can basically do anything. And so, we have this opportunity when we're born on this planet. It's like we came here to be master, mistress creators, just like the creative forces of the universe. And we came here with a mission, with a destiny. And then, we have authority figures projecting onto us. We talk about projection a lot on our shows. And one of our listeners said that she would like us to address how in these situations where authority figures are projecting onto you, how you take back your power to create, and how you listen to your own instincts, and how you clear some of those energy blocks that don't let you step into the role of creator, creating your destiny, creating what you're passionate about. And these are something that I think every one of us, in a world where there's so much judgment, in shamanic cultures, it was understood that every person came in with such a gift to contribute to the whole entire community. And if they didn't contribute this gift to the community wouldn't survive, because the community was one organism and everybody added strength to that organism. In our culture, everything is about who's better than who's the best and who's the worst. And there's all the judgment. And so we get on these shows, and like other teachers get on podcasts and online courses and say, it's time for you to live out your greatest dreams. But how do you do that in a culture that doesn't support it?
Absolutely. And just to say, when Sandra sings, we get the best feedback about her songs. And like on YouTube, people will just go on and on about your songs. So clearly it's your destiny to keep singing. One time when I was really little, my father was notoriously late. And so we had this contentious relationship anyway. My parents were separated, and his once a month visits, he'd be late. And I would be sitting at the window counting cars. And my father was always 35 to 45 cars late. And so as I grew, this tension about people being late became like prevailing. Whereas when I had my first restaurant, I had a great employee who would always be 5 minutes late, and I would be pacing by the front door every morning, like clockwork, to rip him a new one for being late. And this poor guy, I mean, he had to drive in 45 minutes, and it didn't matter. So finally, one of the little tricks that I used to heal it is I went back to that little girl who was impatiently waiting at the window. And finally, one day she got so tired of waiting, she went into I visualized her going into her room and starting to draw. And so I had to do that many, many, many times in order to break that pattern of how insane I would get when people would be late. It's still like a bone of contention with me. However, I'm not pacing and ready to scream at the person who's, 5 minutes late because of an old wound. So sometimes in order for me to create a new future, I have to go back in the timeline in the back in order to create a new positive outcome that I can't possibly heal from the future without taking care of some baggage that's in the past. Have you had that experience too?
Oh, absolutely. Because, unless we're really conscious, and we get conscious at some point if we choose to, basically our past keeps running us. It's our old stories keep coming in, and they keep running us. The metaphor I use, it's like a record. You're playing a record, and the needle, for those of you who remember records, and the needle gets stuck, and the song can't go forward. It's just staying stuck in that same place. And our past can be like that needle that's stuck on this groove, and it won't let the song move forward. And so it's really important for us to be willing to explore our past. You don't have to spend years in psychotherapy, but at least look at it so that you're realizing what's running you in your life. What are those old habitual patterns? Like somebody being late is being triggered by something that happened in one's childhood. That's true for all of us. My parents had certain behaviors that still run how I behave and how I am around people. If a certain behavior is being repeated that I didn't like as a child, So it is really about becoming conscious. And we did do a show, I'm not exactly sure when it aired, but in the show I led an exercise of how to learn how to trust your intuition. It was a really simple exercise of telling yourself a truth and then telling yourself a lie and noticing the difference in the feeling in your body. And so that's a good, it was a recent show, and it's a good exercise to do because as our listener wrote in about listening to your instincts, it's really important to listen to your instincts. And the show was on how to open up your non-ordinary senses so that you're always following your instincts, because your instincts, your intuition knows how to thrive. And we all know when we don't listen to our intuition, we go, I knew that was going to happen. If I just would have listened to myself, I could have saved myself a lot of pain. And then, of course, there's all the ceremonies that we can do for releasing blocks. I mean, they're endless. You can work with all the elements. And I wrote about different releasing ceremonies in my book, The Book of Ceremony, if you want to check it out to be inspired. But again, I am a person who loves direct revelation, and you can come up with your own releasing ceremonies too. So these are all things that we have to do to really follow our passion to create what we want to create in our life, or where we want to put our energy in our life, is getting rid of those voices that tell us we can't do it, or those voices that cover up. They're so loud we can't hear our own intuition or our own soul calling and singing to us. And so it's important to, on a regular basis, do some kind of clearing ceremony.
Absolutely. I don't think we've ever talked about the record grooves before, but when I was 30-ish, I met this Hawaiian kahuna type of woman. And one thing that I got from her was this idea that we could create a new destiny. And this was way before I found my shaman's path, or should I say it found me. And I used to have these ideas like, wow, I can change the record. I can change the groove, that there's 90% of my brain that I'm not using, that there must be other records and there must be other pathways through there. And I took about, instead of doing antidepressants and other medications, I took about doing these left and right brain activities that would help to create new grooves in my brain. Mm-hmm. And one of them was simple, and because sometimes you can't even tell what the truth and what the lie is, I don't know if you ever did this one, Sandra, where you take this finger and spin it this way, and the other finger and spin it the other way. And I'm not even going to try to do it here because it's like crazy, but I am trying to do it. And you really have to focus on spinning your two fingers in opposite directions. Wow. And anytime you cross over your left to your right brain, you start to create a new neural pathway. And so I think the shamans knew that, but then the neuroscience of it all started to catch up. So it's like really retraining yourself to think and act differently in those situations where you are in a habitual spin.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said that better. You said it in a really beautiful way.
And I just think it's funny that we both use the record as a maybe that's, I think we're dating ourselves by our ages. And we know we have a lot of younger 20 to 30-year-old listeners. So, you can go over to Costco now and get the old record players, and it's a collector's item now.
Well, no, I was going to say that records are actually back in again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's coming back into style again to play records. So,
and because the music, I mean, I don't know if I think like, boy, we had some real good music back then. Really good ceremonial songs to sing and stuff like that. And I suppose people who do hip hop and bebop and all of those other things think that those are very ritualistic kind of songs too. They just have never been a beat that I've been tracking to. So there's, we both have actually changed the way we're thinking, because both of us started out in our earlier years pretty depressed, and I must say that now both of us live pretty much in joy, no matter what's going on around us. I think that's a good marking place for you to start to think, like, in your day, how much are you present? How happy are you? How much are you future tripping or past tripping? And that kind of gives you an indication or a barometer of what work there is to do on creating new ideas and new thought forms, and these techniques that we're talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Renee, I think you have a wonderful exercise for us for a first step in moving out a block.
I do. One thing that I've learned over the years is that your body is your compass. Your body can tell you everything that you need to know about this art incarnation. Now you can go, past and future and all of those other places. However, to be present in your body, to really scan your body and see where there's a block, is one really good place of starting this evolutionary change that you're looking for in these, how do I retrieve a new destiny? Well, look to see what's stuck now. When you move that out, you're free for me, I'm always more free to create when I'm in a place of spaciousness. So this is a really simple exercise where we're going to actually use the wind to find out where we are, what kind of issues up for us, and what part of the compass it's on, so that we could start to see whether it's a mental block, an emotional block, a physical block, or spiritual block. Are we ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. I invite everyone, if you're comfortable at home, to close your eyes and settle in with your feet. And I'm going to invite us all to do 3 deep wind breaths in and out. And what that means is, when you breathe in, hold it to a count of 10, then release it to a count of 10, and feel that emptiness in your body. So let's do the first wind breath in. And exhale it down through the root of your feet, the balls of your feet. And bring in that second wind breath in. Hold it. And then release. And now bring in that third wind breath. Hold it. And then release. And now think about a little issue, nothing too big that's bothering you right in today, but that's holding you back from being of maximum service in the world. Just something, your temper, your frustration, something, something little that came up for you in the last couple of days. And now take a minute to scan your body and see where that is living. You can start with your feet and move up. Is it in your knees or your calves or your hips or your belly or up in your solar plexus, maybe your heart, your throat. Maybe it's in your third eye. And once you locate it, just kind of see, is it dense? Is it thin? Or is it coagulated? What does it feel like in there? And I pulled a wind card, and it's Nilchi, about listening to your inner voice, your inner intuition. And now we're going to ask Nilchi to move that energy out and along, working with our intuition for whatever works best for us. And we're moving that energy along with love and light, and it dissolves with love and light into the universe, and it moves along. And the last thing is just to see what direction this wind is blowing into your face. Just ask your intuition, is this wind coming from the east, the south, the west, or the north? And this is a trust of your intuition. So take the first answer that came to you. Because part of changing the past is to start to trust in the intuition of your present, that it has your highest and best good. It's got your back. The winds have your back. So come back into the room, wherever you're sitting, and scan your body again and see if that energy didn't move.
That feels good.
So just a quick little insight. So if the wind was blowing in your face, you might start to think about what your beliefs are, what your memories are. It might be a good place for you to look of what needs a little clearing so that you can move forward towards your destiny. In the south, your emotional body, your needs and desires, what's being met, not met. Your west is your physical, past, endings, harvest. And then if the wind was blowing from the north, then it's about your spiritual, your community. Are you getting the community buy-in for what you need? Are you giving yourself time to hibernate? Just a little taste of, where you are at the present, so you can start to manifest for what you want to bring into the future. It's always good to get a compass reading about where you are now.
I love the way you described that, Renee. That's great.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So I had a little thing right here, and it moved right on out, and I'm feeling much better.
Yeah, I kind of felt like I was able to move out of a field of energy that I've been trying to get out of. And so that was really nice. So thank you. Yeah. And there's always more to work on. And so what we do in the Shamans Cave, especially during our exercises, is we plant quite a number of seeds for you to keep on working with, because just doing one exercise isn't what's going to change your life ultimately, but repeating these exercises and coming up with your own exercises is going to lead you to a beautiful evolution in the next phase of your life. And so it's all about, and you've heard this preached to you over and over and over again from a young kid, and I'm saying it now, practice, practice, practice. It really is about making a commitment of, if we're here for a really short period of time, what are your priorities? What's worth focusing on? Are the practices that we're sharing worth focusing on and repeating, so that during your short winter here on Earth, that you make the best of your time here, instead of in the craziness of how we're drawn out into other activities that are basically meaningless, and we know it.
That's so funny. So what I'd love to hear is if you'd come over to the Shamans Cave or on the YouTube channel, let us know some of the practices you do to move from a place of, wherever you are, to a place of, bigger, broader, spiritual place of being of service. What are the little practices that you use that other people could benefit from?
Nice. I like that. And of course, please come to shamanstv.com and look at the wealth of shows that we have that you can review. That would be one way that you can continue your practice. And please let people know about our show. We're really loving being together on the show. We're really loving our time with you, and really feel a very strong community forming, and it feels really beautiful. So thank you.